What you're about to witness is classified. Enjoy.
To that story, but even if they're not presently here, contemporaneous with us, like you said, there could be this leftover ensemble of occulted history, secret knowledge that is accessible only to the elites, and that might corrupt them a little bit as well.
Well, Dr. Jacobs would suggest even with creatures that operate on a hive mind.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I do agree with that. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, what we as humans call psychopathic that's their nature. That they don't have the same emotional, empathetic attachments that we do. They're very task oriented at whatever cost. The ends are justified, or the means are justified by the ends. So that's certainly an potential aspect of it.
And to your point also, David, this model of sort of the medical harvesting state, which certainly exists, we just shared a recent discussion video about aspartame and how it removes your body's natural defenses to the aluminum in vaccines, right? So we looked at this as an operational tactic, mm-hmm. right? So you have one component of a poison in one product, fake sugar, that on its own might look kind of safe, but when you combine it with the poisons in vaccines, now together they become a lethal poison. And it's very difficult to tie liability or assess blame to any single product. Right. But when you look at it as sort of a networked operation, it becomes clear. All the puzzle pieces connect to one another in a very scary way. Whether it's a medical harvesting state, they want to make money off of you to further their own economic power. Whether it's a truly psychotic depopulation agenda like Bill Gates and Ted Turner have long been proponents of, or it's tied to some occulted history or non-terrestrial influence, you're not sure. That starts to get more speculative, but there is a network operation going on medically and health-wise. And then I also always like to ask people, has there been any real significant medical advancement in your lifetime? Not really, and that is kind of interesting to me as well. Where is those advancements, and why is it that rich, powerful people tend to live longer, they live healthier? It's, in my opinion, they have access to things that are not publicly disseminated, medical techniques that are not publicly disseminated.
And some of them were cured from AIDS, too.
Michael Johnson, he's had AIDS for 40 years. Like, what?
Let's get back to the aspartame. Because when I started organizing, it was against Monsanto, and I became very effective, and millions of people know about GMOs within a period of years. And then I started to get attacked, literally. But on one of these marches I organized, maybe 8,000 people in Philadelphia, a surgeon came up to me, and he kept needing to talk to me. So finally I talked to him. He had done his own laparoscopic surgery in his kitchen with a friend of his to remove his gallbladder because it was infected from aspartame, which he knows because he does this operation regularly. They're not allowed to take these distorted gallbladders and send them off to get tested. They have to be destroyed. There's a lot going on with aspartame-related gallbladder disease because it is known to exist, and then they would ban aspartame because it causes a slow dysfunction of the immune system. A calcification of aspartame builds in the gallbladder, and then it leaks this green ooze into your bloodstream, continuously giving you inflammatory disease and hundreds of other afflictions, which the pharmaceutical industry then gives you prescriptions to. So it is literally, he was trying to prove the connection by giving me his fucking gallbladder as if I could go test it in my apartment, which not only grossed me out, but amongst other things. So I've had other strange people request that, to get this information to me. It's clear that there is really evil shit going on to keep us compliant, to do that harvesting, to make money off of us, and to pretend they're helping you. It's really scary.
And it keeps the population in check as well.
Yeah.
And Georgia Guidestones, right? Ted Turner.
Yeah, and Deagle, we've talked about Deagle before, Adrian. That's a fascinating website, and it's one of those that's been over here in the corner for so long, and it still is. And the Deagle.com, Deagle Report, is fascinating. And this guy, I did the deep dive on these people, and it was part of the Rockefeller Foundation that was behind this Deagle Report. The guy Deagle was Edwin Deagle Jr. was in fact a director of the Rockefeller Foundation. So if that isn't testament to the validity of some of this information, I don't know what it is.
If you don't know, David, the Deagle Report is this
I'm
very
aware.
strange website.
Okay, good.
I'm aware of Deagle.
Yeah.
So just to confirm, you're going to be doing a talk on the elites and their connection to cosmic cycles, correct?
You're talking to me?
Yes.
I could probably put something together in that way.
How much? 30 minutes? An hour?
Q&A, let's do 30. Because we want to all get together, like you said. You know, we don't want to pop her wide at one time. Keep the audience engaged. You know what I'm saying?
So 30-30.
And yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds good. And did you have to go, Adrian, or are we going to keep chatting?
I do have to go in 15 minutes. I have another work call, but I'm good for now. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, nasty work.
Work calls, I know.
So you guys saw, you know about Chan Thomas's book. I have the original.
Yeah.
Chan Thomas is a real human, so anyone claiming that he wasn't a person is full of it. He has some very esoteric works on ESP. He was on Johnny Carson, and then he went missing. And some of his
That's what happened to him. Okay.
And some of his ESP stuff was crazy. Now, he didn't go missing like he died or got killed. He just went away because he was probably living in the islands somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
But he said
he went dark.
Right before he went missing, he told Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon, in fact, and I found the quotes. I have good news. And they looked at him funny, and he pointed up. And that was the last time he ever made a public appearance. So whether that means that's God or there's aliens, no one knows what that meant. But he said, I have good news. And this was in the presence of Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon. And he pointed up, and that was the last publicly thing you could find on the guy. And then poof, Chan Thomas is gone.
Then he went dark. I was wondering because, I found his graduation, his school information. But from that point, after the book and so forth, he just went dark. And Johnny Carson was there. But
April 7th, I don't remember the date, 47? I don't know. But it's it's on the Wikipedia. Put Chan Thomas, Johnny Carson, you can find it on the interwebs. But what I want to...
What's also weird about him is he's written a number of books, one of which I believe is in 93. Isn't that right, Gary? That apparently he wrote a book in 1993 when he was, 8 years old or something?
Oh, I don't remember. I'd have to go back into my records. I don't remember. Too much data.
And another thing we talked a good bit about was the nature of the classification by the CIA of his work. And we kind of think we've reached the conclusion that it was a commissioned report by the CIA and therefore would naturally be automatically classified, which opens up a whole other kind of range of interesting questions about him and his work.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because if you start with Charles Hapgood, who came up with the crustal slit model, he then became the first member of the CIA. Did you know that? Hapgood was the
He was
first
OSS guy.
member. Yeah. So it was changing names from whatever it was before that to the CIA, and he was that, and that's why that shit went blank. So it's all related to CIA bullshit.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people here, I'm I'm part of the MUFON thing too, by the way,
Okay.
as a strategic planning committee member, which is a new thing they're starting, so it should be fun. But at any rate, a lot of people miss the point. I think National Security Act of 1947. That's what created CIA and all the dogs and cats like that. But the fact of the matter is, any external threat, non-domestic threat, the primary cognizance falls within the CIA. All these DODs and Air Force and all that stuff, they're secondary players by doctrine. And people don't realize that, I don't think. CIA has the cognizance on anything of an external threat. What they say goes. So you hear about Lou Elizondo, apparently a contractor for DOD and some sort of crazy thing. I don't know. I'm not. And then you have the blue chicken cult. All those guys. And what we keep forgetting, the CIA has the cognizance on all this. And you don't really hear much about that.
Before I have to jump on this other call, David, I might also suggest that in addition to the elite's connection to cycles and perhaps even getting a little bit into the missing trillions and whatnot, what do you think about the galactic capacitor idea? Is that something that you think you would cover, David, or do you think that would be a valuable addition to Gary's talk?
Well,
Gary, would you be interested in even doing something on that?
In keeping with the electric universe theme, which is where we're at, and it's part of the theme of LeakCon, we would want to include all corroborating evidence for electric universe, including the capacitor idea. And in fact, which is what Doug Vogt alludes to as the dihold, which he calls God. The dihold has got to be some power unit that's real smart, like a supercomputer going wow, 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 with the information beaming out through the Birkeland currents to galaxies. And if you use the esoteric information, according to the Kabbalah, the information that's beaming out to us came from Orion, which we found is a place that's making stars in the Orion Nebula, exactly where the Kabbalah says where we came from is. So it's all leading to this source, this computer-like source, this capacitor, whatever it is, that's on a resonance. Now imagine if that is like being controlled by a much larger thing that we can't even comprehend. We literally could be like, oh my God, it's so small, but yet so big because
It sounds like our Type 5, David.
Yeah, actually. I was just thinking that.
It's every level.
In our book, The Type 5, we reach a similar conclusion that yeah, you'll have to read it, but
I didn't want to be a spoiler. I thought I just But yeah, I mean, you're looking at essentially what in radio lingo, you'd be looking at a massive circuit, and you have inputs from various points, and you have different elements within that circuit. That each little element has its own little job to do: capacitors, resistors, rectifiers, all this good stuff. And that probably is how best to describe our total universe model electrically. So you have different things that cause different outcomes. And that's that's kind of the way
over here.
Yeah,
right. We're over here in this rectifier, a rectum fire, or whatever.
This was an awesome conversation. Do you have my email so you can get me information and we can chat?
Yeah, Adrian has it.
Yeah, so next step, David, would be sort of a brief summary from Gary about his conference presentation idea material kind of thing. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, then let me patch that together and send it back to you and see what you think.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you guys. Do you mind if I take snippets of this convo and put it up as a video?
Oh, we were being recorded.
I don't mind, but I would ask that my face is not shown. If that's
that'd be
okay.
hot. I'm going to give you CIA blocks. How about that? Like little blurries?
That would be okay. Yeah. I've actually never put a recorded image of me talking online ever.
Yeah, this was kind of unprecedented what we did today. But
Yeah.
I thought as a courtesy to you, you'd want to see the whole shooting match here. So.
I won't use any faces. I will put up esoteric information that makes sense, so maybe laymen can figure out on their own what the fuck we're talking about, because I don't. The rabbit holes we know about, and when we talk to each other, we know what we're talking about, and then we can add
Right. Yeah, it's
to
amazing.
each other's conversation. You know, we're not on different planes because we're working with all of the information, and many people, they're just getting little pieces of nonsense. And I think that these types of discussions are core into bringing everyone together on a consensus of the ruse itself, which is called life.
Well, yeah, I have no problem with audio. But I don't want faces on the video. If that's okay.
No faces.
You know, it's interesting. It's
No
interesting.
faces.
It's so refreshing and encouraging to talk with someone completely unrelated, never met before, never had a discussion. As far as we know, we've read different things and had different life experiences, but we've all had the veil lifted, and I think that is key. For whatever reason, the veil is lifted, and we see these things, and we recognize the same thing in each other, and that's pretty exciting to me.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the
There's
point of this?
There's a lot more of us out there.
Why are we doing it? Is it just to inform everyone?
Right.
Is it just to get them to know?
It's almost a
Don't know.
compulsion. I don't know how not to do it. You know?
Yeah.
I'm so
And
driven
that's
to
interesting.
do it. I don't. It's so many hours. Like, I get a penny an hour to do this work, but I can't do anything else.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Well, you're familiar with the calling of the 144,000, right?
I've heard that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a Christian thing.
It's a biblical thing, yeah. But I don't throw the Bible out with the bathwater, because it's basically a regurgitation of much more ancient information and a more, at their time, contemporary point of view. So when they talk about these things like 144,000, that's 12,000 from each tribe. You got 12 equals 3, 12 equals 3, 144,000, obviously. See how the numbers, there's so much symbolic, so many symbols involved in this, and so much esoterica, that the numbers are really important. And there's a message in the numbers, and if you look at the Hebrew, numbers and letters are the same.
Yeah. And if you look at FRBs, there's some real neat numbers with that too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And we discovered those numbers as well. And so there is a consistency within the universe that goes beyond random chance. So that directly implies something that a lot of people are uncomfortable with.
Okay, Gary and Adrian, do you think that this magnetic reversal, 2047, is going to be a Chan Thomas story?
Crystal slippage?
Yeah, the full shebang.
Who knows? I don't think anyone
Could
does.
be.
And that's what makes this interesting, because I sense it. Maybe this is part of the answer to the question that you posed earlier. I sense something. I've always called it a quickening.
Yeah.
I sense it. I think you both sense it. Something is coming, and there are other reasons. I'm going to say that, but it's probably so far off in left field that I don't want to bring it up right now until we'll talk in person. We'll talk about it. But there's something that I was told years ago by someone who saw things, put it that way. Highly reliable. And so to believe that there's going to be some sort of catastrophe is not surprising to me, because I was forewarned of this a long time ago. So I don't know what form it takes. It seems to me there are a variety of forms it could take. Crustal slippage is certainly one.
Multi-event,
Multi-events. Who knows? That's what I mean. We got so many inputs that it's hard to tell exactly what's coming at you next. We live in a shooting gallery. If you compress millions and billions of years, we're basically in a shooting gallery. You're getting hit by things all the time.
Well, geologically, what I've found on these boundaries, these pack boundaries, these punctuated aggradational cycle boundaries that fall on the 12,068 year cycle, there is a deepening portion for 12,000 years of the ocean, which we just had, and then there's a rapid decrease in the ocean, which we are now living, which is clearly going to be driven by ice. But I think that ice isn't the driver. I think that the cosmic rays hold all of the atmosphere up into the sky, and that causes sea level to drop. The water cycle changes, sea levels drop due to climatic shifts, which causes catastrophes. We also know that these cosmic rays excite the subsurface, high siliceous rich magma, volcanoes erupt during these times. So we're going to have volcanic activity, magma pouring out of the surface, rain, clouds, and cold, and the sea level will drop. That catastrophe happens every time, but I don't know about the crustal slip. There's not enough geologic evidence to support that happening all the time.
And it's just one. It's one theory of many, right?
Right.
I know it's gotten a lot of attention lately for some reason. Like everybody just kind of picked up on it all at once for whatever reason. It became kind of the hot item, but it's not a new theory. It's been around, and there are lots of other supplemental theories too. And I certainly think that we're looking at a cyclical multi-event kind of thing, and perhaps there are small cycles and bigger cycles. And that's why it's such a jumble of information right now, because we might see cycles with the Taurid meteor showers, we might see cycles with CMEs, we might see cycles with galactic capacitors. They all might be related, they might be independent, but the very cyclical nature of them, I think, is beyond a reasonable doubt that exists. Yeah.
And there are there's probably one big trigger point. Like I said, it's like a pool table. You break the rack, and you have all these different directions that come off of it, and all the balls go in different directions.
Right.
And I think maybe there is that one critical trigger event that occurs, but it could manifest itself way out here in this part of the galaxy. It may manifest itself in very different ways. So I was just thinking out loud, maybe.
Yeah. All righty, guys. Well, I got to hop on this work call. It was great. It was great catching up with you, David. Always a pleasure. I don't know, Gary, if you want to reconnect maybe tomorrow, we can chat a bit. David, I guess we'll get a summary of Gary's potential talk over to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, let me ponder on that a bit. So.